There I was, standing on that dusty road, watching Eleanor Price in her tailored designer suit point at my John Deere tractor strapped to a flatbed truck. She was yelling about property values when I cut in. "That tractor you're towing isn't just mine, ma'am. It belongs to the United States military." The look on her face? Priceless. How fast can an HOA president's power trip turn into a federal offense? I was about to find out. At 68, after 30 years in the Army Corps of Engineers, I'd claimed my slice of the American dream, 40 acres of fertile land on the edge of quiet Greenfield, Virginia. These rolling fields had been in my family for generations before developers swooped in, turning nearby parcels into what they called premium planned communities. My wife of 42 years, Lillian, and I were thorough when we bought the place. Our land bordered the newly built Silver Pines Estates HOA community, but it wasn't part of it. Our real estate agent, Tom Reynolds, made it crystal clear our agricultural rights were locked in under grandfathered county zoning laws from 1952. "They can build all the fancy houses they want," Tom had said, "but your right to farm this land is ironclad under Virginia state law." That's all I needed to tend my crops, raise my cattle, and enjoy my retirement in my workshop, a converted barn 300 yards from our simple two-bedroom farmhouse. Lillian had her quilting group on Tuesdays, I had my veterans coffee meetup on Thursdays, and Sundays were for family dinners with our daughter's crew, just 20 minutes away in Brooksville. The heart of my operation was my John Deere 5075E, a military-grade utility tractor I'd earned through the Department of Defense's Veteran Equipment Preservation Program. Started in 2012, this little-known initiative loans specialized farming gear to qualifying veterans like me. I maintained it for both my land and educational outreach, hosting quarterly school visits where kids learned about farming, engineering, and military history. The paperwork was airtight. While I was its caretaker, it remained U.S. government property. Every inspection, the DoD rep, Major Carter, would say, "You're doing great work here, Jack." Teaching these kids their heritage, agricultural and military, that's something special. For 8 months, life was golden. Then Eleanor Price moved into the biggest house in Silver Pines Estates and set her sights on running the show. At 55, Eleanor, a former biotech exec, had cashed out with a hefty severance after her company merged. Rumor had it she was hell-bent on turning our rural corner into a polished suburb like her old stomping grounds in Massachusetts. Her HOA president campaign featured slick signs promising elevating property values through premium aesthetic standards, a phrase that made my neighbor Ed Larson grumble. She means pricing out everyone who's been here forever. 2 weeks after winning with a measly 32 votes, Eleanor sent out a 4-page memo on fancy Silver Pines letterhead. It declared war on unsightly equipment, unauthorized livestock, and rural eyesores that supposedly tanked property values. Though my land wasn't under HOA control, she claimed their rules extended to visual corridors from their roads. Lillian just sighed. Here comes another city slicker who wants country charm without the country. I invited Eleanor over for coffee to set things straight. She rolled up in a sleek black SUV, her suit clashing with the dirt road, and I laid out my zoning docs, property lines, and the tractor's military status. I even invited her to the next school event. She barely blinked. That event was my first win. Silver Pines folks brought their grandkids, and Dr. Henry Brooks, a retired history prof new to the neighborhood, raved. This is why we moved here, rural roots with a modern twist. My grandkids learned more here than from a month of video games. Eleanor watched from the sidelines, her smile stiffening as kids clambered over the green monstrosity she hated. Afterward, she cornered me. The kids' program is cute, but that tractor's still visible from our entrance. It's got to go. I tipped my hat. Not your rules to enforce, ma'am. Her crusade ramped up. Weekly letters demanded I ditch the derelict machinery. When I sent back my legal docs, she switched to noise complaints about my 7 a.m. tractor runs. Victory 2 came when County Zoning Inspector Luis Rivera showed up after her latest gripe. Instead of a citation, he toured my farm for 2 hours. "Jack, this is the kind of operation our county wants to protect," he said, snapping pics of the John Deere. "Mind if I feature it in our Historical Society newsletter?" He left me his card with a grin. "Call if she stirs up more trouble." Fuming, Eleanor started daily stakeouts, 8:15 a.m. sharp, parked on my access road, snapping photos from her SUV. Then my security cam caught her sneaking onto my land for close-ups of the tractor. Sheriff's Deputy Mike Tanner reviewed the footage and paid her a visit. Victory 3, she got a trespassing warning. She claimed it was an easement. Mike laughed later at coffee. I had to school her on property lines. Thinking we'd settled it, Lillian and I took 4 days to help our daughter with our new grandbaby. I left the tractor parked on my land, visible from the road. Sure, but mine. We came back Thursday, arms full of baby pics, and it was gone. A note taped to our door from Silver Pines read, "Nuisance abatement action, equipment removed. Contact Riverside Impound." Signed, Eleanor Price, HOA President. The impound guy confirmed they'd towed it that morning. $1, $200 plus $150 daily storage. Then Eleanor called, smug as ever. "The entrance looks better already. Pay up and sign a no-tractor pledge if you want it back." I started, "That's not just my property." She cut me off. "It's an eyesore and it's gone." What she didn't know. That tractor had U.S. government tags, clear as day. Property of U.S. government. Unauthorized use prohibited. This wasn't petty theft. It was a federal crime. I called Major Carter, who picked up fast. "Jack, what's wrong?" I explained, sent the footage, and he said, "Stay put. Document everything." I'm on it. By 8 a.m. next day, a government SUV, 2 MPs, and a Dodge sedan rolled in. Captain Laura Hayes from the JAG Corps, 2 MPs, and Mr. Daniel Foster from the Federal Highway Administration grilled me for an hour. Property lines, footage, HOA letters, the works. "This isn't just about your tractor, Jack," Captain Hayes said. "It's unauthorized seizure of federal property, marked and program protected, towed without permits. Multiple violations." Major Carter added, "In 6 years, I've never seen an HOA tow a government vehicle over rules." They intercepted the truck, halting the impound. Then came Victory 4. I pulled into my driveway to see the flatbed with my tractor, the driver looking lost, surrounded by military vehicles. Eleanor's SUV screeched up, and she stormed out in that same suit, heels sinking in the dirt. "What is this?" "I ordered that to impound." I stepped up, pointing. "That eyesore belongs to the U.S. military, ma'am." Captain Hayes approached. "Ms. Price, I'm Captain Laura Hayes, JAG Corps. You've committed federal offenses, false authority, property interference, fraudulent filings." The tow guy chimed in. She said it was abandoned community junk. Daniel Foster showed her the tractor's government plate photo. Her face went white. "It looked abandoned," she stammered. "I was protecting property values." An MP countered. It was 38 feet inside Jack's land. Major Carter played the footage of her directing the tow. Captain Hayes handed her a cease and desist. "Expect JAG contact soon. Get a lawyer who knows federal law." Eleanor muttered, "This isn't over," and fled. The tow guy apologized, unloading my tractor right there. Word spread fast. By night, neighbors Ron and Clara Evans, fined for wildflowers. The Kellers, hassled over a basketball hoop, dropped by with pie and wine, cheering me on. Judge Paul Grayson, a retired federal judge new to Silver Pines, called. "Jack, I've seen your farm events. This HOA's out of control. Mind if I call a meeting?" Within 48 hours, an emergency HOA session packed the clubhouse, 90% turnout, plus reporters dubbing it Tractorgate. Victory 5 hit as residents unloaded years of Eleanor's overreach. Treasurer George Miller revealed she'd misused HOA funds for the tow, logged as beautification without approval. Eleanor resigned via courier, citing health issues, and the room erupted in applause. The new board, led by Judge Grayson, froze fines, set fair rules, and launched a financial audit. Victory 6? Residents like Margaret Ellis, a retired teacher, asked me to expand my farm events. Volunteers, a gardener, a historian, pitched a community garden. The board formed a heritage committee, with me advising, to balance rural roots and modern living. Major Carter called later. Eleanor settled to avoid prosecution. Funds boost our program. Tractors fixed and back next week. She listed her house soon after, fleeing to a condo with stricter rules. 6 months on, Silver Pines won a regional award for its agricultural heritage integration, my tractor front and center on the plaque. Monthly events now draw veterans and families alike, sharing stories by my workshop. That confrontation wasn't just about a tractor or an HOA tyrant, it was about knowing your rights and building bridges. Judge Grayson laughed at the new, giant, U.S. government property stencil on my John Deere, best HOA repellent ever. I couldn't agree more.